All right, welcome back. More five-man tactics discussion. So we've talked about basic 5 straight up the field, 3 and 2, splitting it up into 3 subunits to do envelopments. I'm going to talk about a thing that the Wandering Turnip Farmers do that is pretty nifty because it gives you some flexibility. So we have our teams. T-Rex. He's big, he's intimidating. I can never remember this one. Philly Dinosaur, Sniper. Pachysaurus. This one's not actually, it's like Stegolemythica something source. Good at defense. And then our Velociraptors, our runners. By the way you distribute your resources, your opponent can kind of divine your plan. If, my runners are out here on the flank, well, they know you're going to send those 2 people to run around the flank, right? And they can distribute their resources to, counter that. So take your badass fighter, put him over here. Those two go over here. Your badass fighter goes and tangles them up while your 4 can jump their 3. Again, by the way your opponents distribute their resources, their fighters, you may be able to judge how you're going to counter it. And it helps if you can make that assessment. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But the turnip farmers do a thing that's pretty cool. And that is they take 2 fighters and put them in the backfield. If you're not sure how you're going to counter your opponent's plan, instead of doing the, hesitant 5 advancing up the field, doing this gives you the potential to call an audible. From here, those 2 can launch any sort of, in any one of the things we've talked about, really. They can split into an envelopment of the line. They can stack one side or the other. And depending on how, and then the 3 can behave in particular ways as well. They can stack to one side of the field, leaving these 2 to go over here. They can go straight up the middle again, especially if the plan is to have the 2 in the back do an envelopment. You just need somebody in position to make that audible. And the other thing that can happen is your front 3 split and your 2 come up the middle to entangle or to occupy. I really like that formation. It gives a huge amount of flexibility. It masks your intentions almost completely. Because if you've got this set up, your opponents are going to assume these 3 are the center line. If you split it, you've negated that assumption. They're going to assume these 2 are going to run. So again, you split it, and those 2 stand there, and you've just broken the OODA loop for your opponent, and they have to make a really quick new decision. Or it lets you, if you can't quite figure out who their strong fighters are, who the opponent's strong fighters are, it lets them make the call as they see, as they get a little more comfortable assessing how the opponents are moving. Because just from the way your opponents move, you can kind of tell. There are people who move like predators, and people who don't. I like the 3-2 stack that the turnip farmers use sometimes. And I want the chance to play around with it more. And unfortunately, no 5-man this year. And I haven't made it out to the Atlantian 5-man for a couple of years because I also go fight heavy. So that is the 3-2 stack. Next, we're going to talk about triads.